Hi everyone, welcome to Ayesha's English Oasis, aka AEO, and what's in your teaching toolbox. In today's video, we'll be discussing task-based language teaching, or TBLT, and communicative language teaching, or CLT, and how we can utilize these methodologies to create reusable lesson plan templates. Previously, I had done a video called Simple Lesson Plan Structure for EFL or ESOL teachers, which focused on the Presentation, Practice, Production or PPP framework. But have you ever wondered why the PPP framework, while simple and popular, might actually hold learners back? Well, today we're going beyond PPP and exploring two research-based lesson frameworks that better reflect how languages are really learned. Task-based language teaching, or TBLT, and communicative language teaching, or CLT. Both approaches are rooted in applied linguistics, and both put learners, not the teacher, at the center of the classroom. PPP is widely used because it's straightforward, but scholars like Rod Ellis point out that it's deeply flawed. It promotes a linear view of learning and assumes that students immediately acquire what they're taught. But in reality, language learning is messy, gradual, and highly variable. Learners don't just absorb grammar rules and spit them out on demand. They need space for interlanguage development, experimentation, and authentic interaction. So what's the alternative? Research points us toward more communicative, task-based, and learner-centered frameworks. Let's look at two of the strongest options: task-based language learning, teaching, TBLT, and communicative language teaching, CLT. TBLT, supported by scholars like Willis and Van den Branden, mirrors how people actually use language in real life. Instead of drilling grammar, learners complete meaning-focused tasks, picking up vocabulary and grammar along the way. Here are some of the core features of TBLT. Learning happens through doing. Grammar and lexis are acquired incidentally. Interaction and negotiation of meaning drive progress. The teacher acts as facilitator, not controller. In fact, as the lesson progresses, the teacher will be playing the roles of a guide, supporter, advisor, audience member, and instructor. Now, if you're wondering, okay, but how do I actually plan a TBLT lesson? The good news is this framework works as a step-by-step lesson plan template. You can use it to design your own lessons from scratch. Before we even write out a TBLT lesson plan, there's an essential first step. As a teacher, you need to be crystal clear about three things. 1, the task. 2, the language goal. And 3, the necessary skills. Number 1, the task. What exactly will students do? For example, planning a trip, giving directions, or designing a school event. Number 2, the language goal. What should students be able to do by the end of the lesson? For example, students will be able to give clear directions using landmarks and prepositions. The necessary skills, number 3. What grammar, vocabulary, and communication strategies will they need to succeed at the task? For example, directional phrases, map vocab, asking for clarification. Once these are defined, then and only then do you move on to the writing lesson plan stages, or you move on to writing the lesson plan stages. Here's a template you can follow to plan your own TBLT lesson. Number 1, line up and register. Start with routines. Number 2, warmer. Quick activity to build interest. It activates topic knowledge and builds interest, as I said. Number 3, pre-task. The teacher sets the context, introduces essential vocab, and models the task. Here, the teacher is acting as a guide. Number 4, task cycle. Students work in pairs or groups on the task, while the teacher monitors. Here, the teacher acts as a supporter. Number 5, planning. Students rehearse and prepare to present results. The teacher is acting as an advisor. Remember to always give students time to prepare their report. Number 6, report. Groups share outcomes with feedback on content first. The teacher is an audience member. Number 7, language focus. The teacher highlights useful language, corrects errors, and builds awareness by highlighting useful forms, for example. Here, the teacher is an instructor. Number 8, cooler. This is a fun and light wrap-up activity to lower the affective filter of students. Number 9, next class. Preview what's coming next. This could be an upcoming task, follow-up activities, or a review of this lesson. So remember that 1, a successful TBLT lesson isn't just about following these stages. It begins before the plan itself with a clear task, a clear language goal, and a clear sense of the skills learners will need to achieve that goal. 2, TBLT flips PPP on its head. Students use language to complete tasks first, and explicit teaching comes after. Number 3, if you've never planned a TBLT lesson before, you can literally take this sequence and use it as your lesson plan guide. Okay, so let's move on now to Communicative Language Teaching, or CLT. CLT isn't one single method. It's a broad approach rooted in interactionist and sociocultural theories, like those of Vygotsky and Long. The main principle? Well, language is learned through communication. Here are some of the core features of CLT. Focus on meaningful interaction, emphasis on functional language use over form drills. Activities include interviews, problem solving, role plays, and information gaps. CLT also works beautifully as a lesson plan template. Just like with TBLT, CLT lesson planning starts before you write out the stages. As a teacher, you need to be clear on 3 things. Number 1, the communicative goal. Number 2, the necessary skills and language. And number 3, the context or situation. Let's go back to number 1, the communicative goal. What do you want students to achieve through communication by the end of the lesson? For example, students will be able to make polite complaints in real-life situations. Number 2, the necessary skills and language. What grammar, vocabulary, and functional language do learners need to meet this goal? For example, polite request structures, tone of voice, vocab for service encounters. Number 3, the context or situation. What meaningful real-life situation will make this goal come alive? For example, complaining to a landlord about a broken heater or in a shop about a faulty product. Once these are defined, then you can build the CLT lesson around them. The next part is about how to structure a communicative lesson. In order to do that, just follow these stages. Okay, so here's a ready-to-use CLT plan you can adapt to any topic. Number 1, line up and register. This is all about your classroom routines. Number 2, warmer. A communicative activity to spark interest and create a genuine need for language. Here, the teacher is acting as a facilitator. Number 3, context setting. The teacher introduces a meaningful real-life situation, activating background knowledge. Here, the teacher is a guide. Number 4, meaning focus. Students work with authentic input, discussions, or problem-solving tasks to explore meaning. Here, the teacher is a facilitator or resource. Number 5, communication practice. Students engage in fluency-focused activities like role plays or infogap tasks. Teacher monitors with minimal correction. Here, the teacher is acting as a supporter. Number 6, feedback and reflection. Teaching students evaluate communication success, highlight strategies used, and correct key errors. Here, the teacher is a feedback provider. Number 7, extension. Students transfer the language into new, personal, or real-world contexts. An example of transfer practice is, for example, students giving directions in their own neighborhood. An example of personalization is, for example, students describing their own experiences. An example of real-world connection is, for instance, students discussing when they're to use the language outside class. Here, the teacher is the facilitator. They're asking probing questions and encouraging connections. Number 8, cooler. End your lesson with a fun, light activity to wrap up. Number 9, next class. Preview the upcoming communicative goal, follow-up activities, or what you'll be reviewing in the next lesson. So, remember that 1, in CLT, the focus is on real communication throughout the lesson. Accuracy matters, but it takes a backseat to meaningful interaction and authentic use. For CLT, don't just jump into role plays and discussions. Start with a clear, communicative goal. Define the skills and language learners will need, and ground them in a meaningful context. That clarity of purpose transforms CLT from just fun speaking activities into a powerful research-based framework for real language learning. 3, so if you want to plan a CLT lesson, this template gives you a step-by-step guide that you can apply to any language focus. Now, check out this good planning checklist for TBLT and CLT. We're coming towards the end of the video, so here are some key takeaways for TBLT and CLT. In TBLT, learners complete a task first, then analyze language afterwards. In CLT, learners focus on authentic communication throughout, with feedback as needed. Both shift the teacher's role from controller to facilitator and put students at the center. So, if you're ready to move beyond presentation, practice, production, or PPP, TBLT and CLT both offer powerful research-based ways to make your lessons more meaningful, engaging, and effective. Knowing all of this, which one would you try in your classroom first? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Ayesha's English Oasis, aka AEO, for more teaching insights. Thanks for watching What's in Your Teaching Toolbox, TBLT and CLT frameworks as lesson plan templates. Happy lesson planning! Until next time.